So Season 4 Critical Corruption has launched. So let's read through the new additions. First, there's a season event, the Rockbox Corruptor. Plague hearts you've encountered previously have evolved, and you can get this Rockbox Corruptor. New Rockbox enemies, Rockbox Breeder, Rockbox Bomber, Rockbox Spitter, and Rockbox Exploder. Completely new enemies, the Glyphid Stingtail, the Glyphid Septic Spreader. The red stuff does a lot of damage. Get the Jet Boots. It's a fun. Also play the Jetty Boot game in the Space Rig. They added the new beer, the randomizer to randomize your loadout. The equipment terminal, you can also randomize your loadout. You can also copy and paste loadouts, which is very nice because it was quite tedious to set up your loadouts previous. Also, you can do some sleeveless armors. We're going to skip this song, which is the new song, but it's pretty banging. And so now on to the weapon changes. The Subata 120. I noticed that they make a lot of changes to the Subata almost every update because it sucks compared to the other two secondaries, quite frankly. The Subata has long been in need of an update, but they tweak it every time. As always, if you've unlocked any of the removed upgrades, their cost will be refunded. Increase base weak point damage from 1.2 to 1.25. It's not really enough of a buff. Reduce the base, reduce the ammo. Modification tweaks. Reduce the bonus of the T1 high capacity magazine upgrade, but how? The one thing that annoys me about the way these patch notes are written, to be honest, is you don't put any numbers in here. Look at the Dota 2 patch notes and take a note how you should do it correctly. Got little mouse over things there that show you relevant stuff, even if the numbers aren't included directly in the sentence. Moved the tier 1 reload speed upgrade to tier 3, increased the bonus of the tier 2 ammo upgrade, increased the bonus of the tier 2 damage upgrade, removed the tier 3 damage upgrade, added a new 2-round burst upgrade on the tier 3. So it sounds like a buff so far. Moved the tier 3 ammo upgrade to tier 4 and increased its bonus, increased the bonus to tier 4 hull point bonus upgrade, so we saw those up here. Removed T5 acid coated bullets and added a neurocorrosive catalyst upgrade and added a blow through rounds upgrade as well. So who knows if those are any good. And they changed tranquilizer rounds, added a slow effect to help with enemies who are immune to the stun, and changed the rate of fire penalty from a flat value to a percentage. So here is the build that I used to test the Subata with the changed overclock. So it's a little bit harder to use than the other two secondaries. They definitely buffed it. Ultimately, what's my opinion? I still think it's a little mediocre compared to the other two secondaries. M1000, they basically changed it to keep it the same. So they buffed all semi-auto guns seemingly with the input buffer, so they nerfed it appropriately to make it even. The Boomstick. So they replaced small pellet damage bonus with a large bonus to the blast wave damage. Okay, so you don't... Okay. Added a shot spread penalty, made both shots fire simultaneously, and updated the weapon stats and ammo display to clarify this. Changed overclock type from clean to unstable. So that was for the double barrel overclock, specifically. Great. So the Boomstick. This change to the OC makes it ridiculously fun. It does crazy damage now. The only sort of problem, I guess, being, as you can see, is you have to be right on top of it, inside the swarm practically, to do really good damage. For the breach cutter, you get more ammo now if you use spinning death. For the cryo cannon, reduce the ammo cost for the snowball overclock, which is nice. And it says affected targets cannot warm up short time after getting hit. So they buffed snowball, because you wouldn't really pick snowball before because it was just kind of like your ammo was gone instantly if you start shooting it. So for Snowball, in my opinion, what they've kind of done now is they've brought it to better parity with what Ice Spear was like. Because you could pick Ice Spear before and you could use the Ice Spear if you wanted, or you could just use it like a normal Cryo Cannon and it was still pretty good. But Snowball, you couldn't quite do that. But now you can with the buff that they've given it. So now Drac 25, shield battery booster overclock, removed the overheat recovery time penalty and added a significant shield generation boost. See, that's a flat buff. Because again, quite frankly, right, that overclock was trash before. Like you basically have to never get hit to kind of be as good as if you picked another overclock. It was like, bruh. Well, the Drac 25, the shield battery booster. You kind of want to like this overclock because it sounds like it's gonna be cool. And they definitely did buff it. But I still don't think that they buffed it enough. Like, having it connected to your shield is too much of a disadvantage. So the Hurricane system replaced the clean manual guidance overclock with the new unstable rocket barrage overclock. See, if that's just like a really high rate of fire, which they should say here what it actually does, that'll be very good because the Hurricane needs more rate of fire. So rocket barrage, the thing that you thought the rocket launcher always needed. Really ridiculously high rate of fire. This overclock is insanely fun. There's not really much else to say about it. Plasma burster missiles overclock. The guidance system update prevents missiles from hitting the ground while swarming around a target. That's nice because a lot of times they would just hit it. And increase the number of hits a single missile can deliver before expiring. So now plasma bursters can hit more stuff. These things are kind of lackluster no matter what. So I'll reserve my opinion on that to see how good that actually is. So plasma bursters. They always felt kind of a little bit low on damage prior to this point. But I think they've managed to buff it enough that now they're decent against swarms and most bigger enemies. The Thunderhead Autocannon Carpet Bomber Overclock. They changed the explosion radius bonus from a flat to a percentage. Basically, you're going to get a way bigger explosion radius. They changed the damage bonus also from a flat to a percentage. So this is like a buff for sure. So the Autocannon, an overclock that's not Neurotoxin. It's better than it was. Of course, right? It's clearly a buff. But, I mean, yeah, it's better than it was. But is it better than Neurotoxin? And then Neurotoxin Payload Overclock, they reduced the AoE size bonus. They added a decreased ammo. Removed the direct damage penalty. Okay, so this basically has a big nerf. It doesn't, I think, change its effectiveness really. You just have less ammo, but like I always had so much ammo left, it was a joke. So even with a flat nerf, how does this perform? Pretty much like I predicted, it still completely wrecks everything. And it's pretty overpowered, and still definitely, in my opinion, the best overclock for the Autocannon. Basically, they didn't nerf it enough to make it actually second, like actually not first choice. So now this brings us to the Misc category, which really has some pretty interesting quality of life improvements that are, I think, the actual hidden gems of the update. So I suppose I'll read through some of them, but all the interesting stuff is always hidden way at the bottom. It's hilarious. So let's start at the top. Fixed E priorities to prioritize reviving a down dwarf over shield boosting him. So this is hilarious. I hope they also fixed, you know, prioritizing other things like, you know, petting Doretta or petting a Steve instead of getting somebody up, because that also happens. Fixed an issue where the dwarf would talk about getting more canisters when inserting the second fuel canister. Oh, that's minor. Made patrol bots stand still while you hack them. I've exactly had this happen and I couldn't hack it because I suck at hacking, but somebody else hacked it, so it's fine. Centered a rockpox particle that was unaligned in the mule. Okay, that's minor cosmetic thing. So made it so exploders only explode once in missions with volatile guts instead of twice. Didn't really notice that personally. Fixed a bug with changing languages that made it so not everything changed when it should change. So that didn't affect me because I was only using English. Fixed the wrong mission control progress shouts playing during the lithophage meteorite event. Definitely noticed that one a bunch of times. Fixed a bug that caused scouts flare gun to not damage small enemies. I didn't really notice that one. Fixed a bug that caused breeders to become invisible when frozen. Definitely seen a few graphical glitches, but it's hard to tell if it's your graphics card or the game. Fixed a bug that caused cave leeches to sometimes be silent for clients. Thank God, because you think you're going crazy, but I'll tell you, bro, they don't make any sound sometimes. And when you do hear the sound, you're like, dude, is that what they sound like? Also fixed when they're frozen. Also, this is hilarious. Fixed the red light. Is it supposed to be like on their bodies? Because for all time, it's been in their mouth. That's where it's been. Mactero corpse is now dissolved. That's proper. Fixed a terrain bug that caused swarmer hole debris to appear. I've seen that one before. Tweak the terrain generation around the caretaker to improve variety. See, that'll be nice because the caretaker caves are pretty samey. Made it so the rock cracker pods can't land inside each other. Never seen that one happen. Fixed that the drop pod would sometimes land inside the walls. I'm a little disappointed that they fixed that, to be honest, because that made it more fun. Some of the most fun endings were because it was in the walls. Fixed that the grappling hook would sometimes cancel its shot. I've had that one happen. Like, you definitely push the button, but you think that you didn't. Fixed a bug that caused rejoining clients not to be able to see the C4 blast sphere. Removed the little IFG label. That one was hilarious. I used to sometimes see it, this little IFG. I'm like, what the hell is that? Can I even turn that off? But I guess that was a bug. Fixed a bug that caused the bolt shark broadhead bolts to not apply the correct amount of damage. Didn't notice that one. Fixed a crash caused by the host getting grabbed while holding a grenade. Possibly I experienced that. Fixed a bug that caused sounds to loop when triggering today's special beer effect. And had that one. Fixed a bug that caused the show network stats option to reset. Fixed some incorrect visual stats for the Warthog magnetic pellet alignment. What does that mean? What's a visual stat? Fixed a small skidding issue with the NK5 armor. Fixed a skidding issue with the Waster weapon framework. Fixed a bunch of typos. I wonder which typos there are because there were a lot. Bosco now makes a sound when he's vacuuming. Cool. Rockpox waves now have a small chance to spawn during normal missions. That's fun. That's what I'm talking about. Like, that's a hidden sort of gem one, minor one. Increase the difficulty for spawned enemies near plague towers and during cleaning. See, that's another one. Like, you just get like, what, 2 piddly Praetorians. So I wonder what it is now. Everyone can now be dead for 0.5 seconds longer. That critical 0.5 seconds when you were trying to use your Iron Will. Mission control should no longer mention sending down drop pods on salvage missions. Sabotage missions can now have mutators. Like, why did they not? So now you can have double mutator sabotage? Heck yes. The core infuser now carves out the terrain. That's nice, because sometimes it's like buried, or somebody's trolling. The Lithovac and the Lithophone now have a shiny hologram above them when dropped. That's handy for finding them. Thrown objects will now carry some players' momentum. See, this, again, this is like a big freaking change, bro. Like, this changes a lot of stuff about how you play, like, an extraction mission, for example, where you put traversal. Change the cleaning pod placement. Now they can only be placed on terrain. Where could you put it before? Added some extra breach effects to the Hearthstone after the final break. Cool. Fixed flying rocks appearing in phase 3 of the Hearthstone fight. Improved streamer mode and made ambient space rig music controlled by the client instead of the host. Okay, that's good. So you get your own music. Barrels that didn't go through the hoop now explode instead of disappearing. Added the game version and mission seed numbers to the cave HUD. Okay. Loadout UI in the escape menu now also shows armor and pickaxe mods. Cool. Fixed an issue where the pop-up bar for color vision deficiency options in the options menu would appear beneath other option UI bits. Fixed a bug that caused perk tooltips to sometimes not show in the equipment terminal. Updated the credit list to include community translators. Changed driller monochrome armor paint so it's yellow instead of blue. Good, because that was like... Changed the ordering of DLCs in the DLC menu. Optimized the drop pod dice. What does that mean? Improved shadows in the space rig. Check that out. Optimize weapons and devices when not in use. What? Is that like a performance improvement on the space rig? Added more new sticker messages on the trade terminal. Added a new fire sound for the Subata when using 2-round... Well, they just added this gear mod. So obviously they have to add a new sound. Changed the coil gun Hellfire description to make it reflect the fact that it increases and not reduces charge time. Get wrecked. Fixed the Boomstick fire rate upgrade, also reducing reload speed. X-Wing now dies instantly. And again, this is a super minor thing that has now triggered me as we've read through them all. Why do fucking like 1 or 2 of them have periods? Like, I don't care if you have periods, but pick a convention, yo. Fix the goo cannon only consuming 1 ammo, every other full charge shots if done consecutively. What? So I didn't know you could do that because I don't really like the goo cannon, but apparently you could have a free shot. So that would be an example of something that's actually a pretty big change, especially if you were like using that exploit all the time. Fix for a bug where breaking 1 armor plate on some enemies would make some other armor plate unbreakable. I think I've experienced that before, but whatever. You just shoot them where they have no armor. Fix the enemy armor sometimes still being breakable when it shouldn't be. Okay, so these, we come to the biggest change in the season. Second to last biggest change of your DRG friggin' life. Need the Praetorian, spit particles, better match the God-forsaken hitbox. Bruh, how many times in your life have you been hit by this bloody thing when it didn't hit you? How many times have I been bathed in the particles? And I'm just like, I'm invincible. Multiples of them just covering me in that shit. Nothing happens. Because this was the most fucking broken thing in the game that wasn't like a bug. And the last final thing, which actually affects my build, and again, I'm annoyed that it doesn't explain what the friggin' hell this means. Fixed thermal exhaust feedback overclock for plasma carbine, not staging damage upgrades correctly. What does that mean? Was it doing too much damage before? Less damage? Random damage? Dang. I'll have to try it and see if it makes any difference for my gameplay. Now you might be tempted to say, what are you doing? The patch came out a week ago. This patch notes video is late. Yes, but I anticipated the hotfix patch. So here is patch notes for Season 4.01. So here's the notes. They added sound to the randomized buttons. The flare gun flares will now fall to the ground when hitting the corruptor, instead of floating in space, I guess. Fixed usable bar sticking around after someone cancels reviving you. Not cool, too bad I didn't get to see that one. Menace and Acid Spitter now plays their stun animation. Septic Spreader now plays strafe and stun animations correctly. Septic Spreader now checks line of sight from its center. Fixed client-side butt animation issue for the Septic Spreader. Butt animation issue. Dang, wonder what that was. The Septic Spreader can no longer shoot behind itself. Septic Spreader added attack, hell, scream, plus misc attenuation tweaks. What the? Fixed crash related to foaming the corruptor, reverted some changes to wave manager that were causing problems, adjusted engineer cable color in the DLC 09 paint job to red. So I don't know what it was before, but now it's red as it should be. Stingtail now only does its sting attack if it's within 10 meters vertical distance of its target. Okay, so 10 meters vertical distance. Interesting. Updated the icons of the healthy armor upgrade so that they are not the same as the shield upgrade. See, this one I noticed, now it's a plus sign. Corruptor no longer despawns if you move too far away from it. Fixed a bug that caused copying loadout changes, loadout of other classes. Copying, loadout changes, loadout. Fixed randomizer picks from already existing players' loadouts. Fixed that Betsy was targeting untargetable enemies. Steve now has a white outline when pinged instead of the usual red. Okay, see, this is a good, particularly good change, because this was confusing as hell. Steve was getting his dick shot off constantly because he was red. Fixed the wave cooker not working for the remainder of our mission if you canceled firing right as you started firing it. Hilarious. Too bad I missed that one. And here it is. The Drac 25 Thermal Exhaust Feedback OC. What did they actually do? Now they increase the damage and heat bonus to compensate for the now properly working scan. Increase the damage. You have broken what was already broken. In my opinion, this is the best overclock for the Drac 25, and it was broken before. You just broke it more. That's amazing. Thank you, Ghost Ship.